balance advocate noticed that I said life first, because the living part come first. We are not on this planet to work. We came here to live, and work should be part of that. And I have this
Yes.
audacious goal to help 10,000 moms find and land remote work so they can show up for their families in the way they desire. Ultimately, I just want to help anybody, moms, dads, people who don't have kids, pet parents, whatever. I want people to live this one and only life in
Yes.
ways that they desire. Our lives should be enjoyable because we only get to be here once, you
We
know?
only get to be here once, right? And I think both of us want Black women to know that you can live a different life. If there's something in your life that is not going well, that's
Mhm.
harming you, you're able to pivot. But we don't want anyone to feel or have a life of dread, right? Waking up
Yeah.
and feeling a life of dread. So I
It's
just
too
want to
short
share.
for
It's too
that.
short. It's too short,
Mm.
right? So I just want to share with everybody that Libria Jones is one of our speakers for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women. So you need to register so you can see her, okay? And full effect, okay? So I wanted to have her on because I wanted to talk about replacing our income. Because as I said before, a lot of us, myself included, stayed at a toxic job so long, got so beat down because of
Mm-mm.
my concerns about I wouldn't be able to replace my income. So Libria, from the perspective of your own experiences, leaving a toxic job, as well as working with other Black women, can you share can you share what the experience is like in terms of the fear and
Yeah.
how you work through the fear and how you help Black women work through that fear of leaving a toxic job and replacing your income?
So many topics I love talking about right here, right? There's just so much good stuff in what you just asked me. Thankfully, I have not personally had a toxic job since like 2006. I was, God, how old was I back then? 20, 26, 27. I haven't had a what I would consider toxic job in a very long time. And
Hmm.
so the first thing that I want to hit on this is, please know that your job doesn't even have to be toxic for you to leave it. I've
Good
left
point.
jobs because it didn't fit my lifestyle anymore,
Good point.
right?
Good point.
And so
Yes.
you at any time, something that you said earlier was like, you want people to know that they always can change things. Paul
Hmm.
Coelho, everybody loves him. He wrote The Alchemist. One of his most famous quotes is, at any time you are capable of changing your life. At
Yes.
any time you can change anything. And so I've left jobs. I left a job a long time ago because it was absolutely toxic. But over the years, I've left jobs for different reasons, just because
Hmm.
they weren't serving me, or I've been let go and been like, okay, well, I'm gonna just do something else. And
Hmm.
so, one of the things that's important, you mentioned fear. I think a lot of us assume that fear is telling us don't run,
Good point.
hide, don't stop, freeze.
Hmm.
And I think I'm on a personal mission to change fear's branding.
Ooh.
Fear has literally, like, we've made fear the bad guy.
Yes.
Fear has literally been saving our lives since we became entities, since we it started existing. And at
True.
some point, we started blaming fear for everything. And fear is really like, I'm here to give you information and conspire with you.
Mm.
Right? I see fear as a catalyst, as a co-conspirator, as an
Mm.
ally. And
Mm.
what fear is telling, a lot of times you just say, I'm afraid, so no,
Hmm.
versus saying, I'm afraid, so what information do I need?
Good
What's
point.
next? What comes
Good
next?
point. Good
What am
point.
I afraid
It's a way
of?
to prepare ourselves to get ready.
What is
Yes.
my plan if that thing happens? Right?
Yes.
And so I
Yes.
think fear is not something telling you not to do it. Fear is telling you to
Hmm.
pay attention. Fear is telling you to
Hmm.
listen. Fear is telling you to
Hmm.
plan. Fear is
Hmm.
telling you to prepare. Fear is telling you, well, what is the thing that you're most afraid of? And if that happened, what would you do?
Yeah, yeah. Because guess what? We always have choice and we have agency. So even if the worst case scenario happens, what are you going to do?
What are
And
you going
so,
to do?
what are we doing to help support Black women? You and I, Marissa, and so many of us out here. What are we doing to support Black women and knowing that we can live a different life? So I so appreciate what you said, Libria, about it's not just a toxic job. It could just be you outgrew the job, or it could be let go from a job, whatever it might be. We are
Yeah.
sharing with Black women about resources to replace your income. So don't feel like if certain things don't work out, it's the be all end all. So you said connecting with fear, saying, you know what, this fear is telling me something to help me prepare, help me plan, but it's not going to stop me in my tracks. So when you walk through the fear, or how do you coach Black women in walking through the fear? How do you coach them?
I'm smiling so big. I love talking about fear. Usually, honestly, the conversations that I have with Black women around fear
Mm-hmm.
is okay. We start with what are you afraid of? Like, let's name it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say it out loud. Because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times it's like this underlying abstract thing. And you haven't even really, you're not even
Mm-hmm.
really clear on what you're afraid of. You've just been conditioned
Right.
that I'm supposed to be doing this thing. And so anything outside of that feels uncomfortable. That's the other thing. We're so keen
Mm-hmm.
on eradicating discomfort. We're so keen on
Yes.
eradicating discomfort that we'll sit in the discomfort that we know of. Like you're uncomfortable already. Why are you afraid of being
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different discomfort, right? And it's discomfort
Right.
on the
Right.
way to what you really want. If you're going to be
Yes.
uncomfortable either way, why not be uncomfortable on the way to something that you want, right? And so the
Exactly.
first thing that we talk through is naming your fear. What is it you're afraid of? And the second thing that I
Mm-hmm.
usually talk people through is what's the worst case scenario in your mind? Like what worst case scenario have
Mm.
you come up with?
Confront
And
it.
I give you an example. I have a friend who was concerned that we were going to that people at her company were going to get laid off.
Hmm.
Um, and so she was thinking about taking another job that was paying less than she was making. And she's
Hmm.
a high, like she is a what do you call it? A high performer at her company. Like she's one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, so let's talk through this. Like, what are you afraid of happening? And she was like, well, I'm afraid of layoffs. I said, okay, well, if that worst case scenario happened, what would you do? Like, what's your plan?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't you sit
Mm-hmm.
down and figure that out?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She said, well, she called me back and she was like, I talked to my husband and we would actually be fine for at least 6 months. And I said, well, you know what? It takes about 3 to 6 months to find another job on average.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Mm-hmm.
you are trying to put yourself in a position where you take a pay cut when A, you don't know if we're gonna have if this company's gonna have layoffs, right? And B, even if they do have layoffs, like you're one of the best. So they got to go through a few people before they even get to you.
Right. 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 Right.
Right?
Right.
And
So
so
don't
you're
jump
trying
out
to
of fear.
outrun something, this abstract fear that you have when you haven't even sat
Mm-hmm.
down and thought about, well, what is my worst case scenario? And it sounds
Yeah.
like your worst case scenario is that you'd have a sabbatical. That don't sound bad to me.
Right. Right.
A
And
sabbatical sounds
Libria,
great.
if she's a high performer, and this is what I want Black women to know also, when we get these jobs, more than likely we are over the top. Like we are overqualified because they don't just hand jobs out to us. So the fact that we were able to get the job, the fact that we're a high performer, what data tells you that you won't be able to get another job if you got that job?
Yeah.
So connecting to what is the data telling you? So what are the ways, Libria, that you, as well as a coach, that you coach Black women in replacing their income? Because again, there's that fear response of, I'd rather stay here in this job I'm miserable that I hate, but at least I know the players
At
involved.
least I
At least
know.
I
I know
know,
the
at
devil.
least I
I
know
know
the
this devil.
devil. I know that devil. Right, you're right. I know that devil. I'm like, I don't want you to know any devils. Okay. All devils are bad.
That part.
Right. So
That
don't
part.
settle for that and lie to yourself because you're not comfortable. You're being harmed continually. So you're lying to yourself. So what are some of the ways that you have replaced your income and you've helped other Black women replace their income as well?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we forget as we find ourselves following the same path for a long time is that
Mhm.
we absolutely always have options. Absolutely always have options. Like you got this
Yes.
job, you got the job before that. Like you
Yes.
weren't sitting in your house and someone came and rescued you and gave you a job, right? Like
Exactly. They sought
you
you
went out
out.
and got
Right.
this job.
Yes.
You connected with someone and got this job. And so the same way,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you a quick story before I answer your
Mm-hmm.
question directly. But
Mm-hmm.
this is another example of A, it's not a toxic situation, and B, someone being afraid.
Mm-hmm.
I took a group of people around the world for an entire year.
Wow.
And when I was recruiting the team to go with me, one of the team members that I met with that I wanted to go on this trip with me
Mm-hmm.
said, he was like, but if I leave my job, like, what am I supposed to do after the year? And I was like, well, you have options. I was like, you got that job. You could probably get another job. You could make your own job. Or if you have a good relationship, you might want to just tell them what you're doing and you can come back.
Mm.
I was like, you haven't even thought about the options.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't even
Mm-hmm.
considered the fact that you have options. And guess
Mm-hmm.
what happened? They went back to the same job after the year.
Hmm.
Yeah, they held the job for them. They had the conversation. It was like, I really want to do this year abroad. I want to basically take a sabbatical and went back to the same job. And so I just want to remind people that, again, you don't have to be leaving a job because it's toxic. You could just,
Yeah.
I want to travel the world for a year.
I
Like,
want to
I
break.
want to live my life. I just want
Right.
some people. Or I want a different type of job. I want to learn something new. I want to move into a
Mm-hmm.
new industry. And
Mm-hmm.
so at any time you have options, people are making money doing all kinds of things these days.
True.
I
True.
mean, it's people in London selling air in jars. It's wild.
Yes.
And uh, so, I think that if you have ever had a job, you are marketable, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have
True.
the capability of getting another one.
Mm-hmm.
B, there are so many options for you to create your own jobs. So a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people do freelancing. You have skills that other people don't have and are willing to pay you for. And so freelancing is an option. That's something that I did when I got laid off in 2013 and decided I did not want to go back into anybody's office at all. And I actually didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to work for anybody. I started freelancing and I ended up getting clients, a client in London, a client in Costa Rica, and a client in New York doing
Wow.
project management as a freelancer. And you could create a digital business. I mean, people are creating businesses left, and folks are throwing money at people creating businesses these days, especially Black
Mm-hmm.
women, right? Y'all better get it before this good black women money dry up, because the attack on DEI is a whole other conversation, but
Right.
it is real right now.
Yes.
So you could start a digital business. And then the other thing is, I think we live in a time now where you can learn how to do something different and create new skills so easily without having to go back to school. I know Black women are addicted to degrees,
That's
but you ain't got to go back to school,
how we're the
baby.
most educated, because we
You
right.
got the most educated. I almost went and got a second master's degree, y'all. It's
Wow.
wild. And I was like, what are you doing? Let's not do this. But there are so many boot camps. There's so many. Coursera has so many courses. Udemy, YouTube University. I mean, there's so many places where non-traditional education is really propelling a lot of people to the front of the line. Where, I've got friends who are making really good money who don't have degrees because they've learned how to do digital marketing or
Mm-hmm.
instructional design or, all kinds of things in
Mm-hmm.
non-traditional ways. And so to wrap that up in a bow, what I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to say is you have options. You have
Yes.
so many options to replace your
So
income.
many options. Yes, yes, yes. And that's a good segue, I think, Libria, to you as a speaker for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women coming up May 18th and 19th. Can you share with the audience what is it that you're going to be talking about during the summit?
So my key conversation is usually around remote work and how people can find ways to work remotely. Most people that talk to me want to have a W-2 job. A lot of people want to have jobs where they get what they like to call stable. I don't like that word when it comes to
Oh,
W-2 jobs. Not the way
ooh,
people be getting laid off. That ain't stable.
ooh. Okay. Okay. So that's a
The word
lie, right?
consistent or
Yes.
predictable is fair, right? They
Yes.
want
Yes. Yes.
predictable income,
Mm-hmm.
and also they want benefits, right? So a lot of people talk to me about how to find W-2 jobs. A lot of people want W-2 jobs that allow them to work from anywhere. So I'll be sharing a
Mm-hmm.
bit about that. But I love talking about how people can get ultimate freedom through freelancing and contracting and consulting as well. And so I'll be talking a lot about where and how to find and land remote jobs at the summit.
Yay. Okay. So excited. I'm so excited that you agreed to be a speaker. And I'm so excited for the Black women who will be registered and coming and hearing this information, because this is liberating to know we have choice and not only, okay, I can just, like, somebody's telling you these are the things that you can do, right? So we're laying it all out for you. So what would you say, Libria, if there's a Black woman watching us right now and she can relate to these things and she's saying, I want to go to the summit, but I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. I don't know. I hate this job, or I've outgrown this job or whatever, but she's on the fence. What words of wisdom would you offer to her?
Well, I mean, I'd say you're here for a reason, right? If you're listening to us talk, you're here for a reason. And that reason is leading you directly to that. You need more of that. I mean, this has been a 15-minute conversation. I'm seeing things like, I love the different way Libria described fear. And, This is another way to think about fear. I like the discussion on rethinking fear and discomfort. Well, this is a
Mhm.
15-minute conversation, and you're talking about a whole summit about that very thing, right?
2 days, yes.
And 2 days of a summit about that very thing. And so I think it's so important to hear certain messages in multiple ways and multiple
Mhm.
times.
True.
Psychology shows that we have to hear things 6 to 7 times before it really sticks with us. And you
Mhm.
may need to hear it from different perspectives as well.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
maybe I didn't say anything that you haven't heard before, but I said it in a way that hit you. Or maybe
Yes.
someone else that's speaking will say certain things in a certain way that will hit you. So I think that's one. Two, exposure. I think exposure is so important because,
Mhm.
again, we talked about choices, and a lot of people
Yeah.
don't even realize how many choices are out there for them. And
Yes.
so coming to something like the Job Liberation Summit will expose you to a vast array of ways that people are handling and tackling this problem, right? So you've got a
Mhm.
problem, and there's like so many solutions to it. So being exposed to so many people that are and have tackled that problem is going to give you information and expand
Mhm.
your knowledge about it, but also
Mhm.
build your confidence because you're seeing
Yeah.
people do it, right?
Yes.
So I'd say like you've got the information, you've got the inspiration, right? And you've got the affirmation.
Yes. So you're saying Black women, so women who look like you, who
Mhm.
have been in your shoes, so we can understand what it's like, what you're going through right now. And we have gone through the process and we're reaching back to help you. Like Libria said, we all have different ways of saying things. We have all different ways of choice and what we've done, but we're sharing all this with you in terms of what you can actually do, how you do these things. So I see there was a question in the chat. What's the strategy when you're close to retirement with the pension and health benefits? So let me say this before you respond, Libria, that we are going to have Dr. Roche Brown, who was one of the speakers. So she's ending off the summit. And so she's a financial psychologist, and she helped me get my money right so I could leave a toxic job. So one of the things that she helped me with, and that she'll be helping us with during the summit, is coming up with that survival number. What is your financial plan? You have to look at your money. You have to confront the money issue, right? We got money
Yeah.
drama. We got to confront the money issue, look at our expenses, look at our survival number. We're going to be talking about that during the summit. Now, if you want to upgrade your ticket, there is an opportunity to spend more time with Dr. Roche the following day, talking about more detailed information related to health insurance, retirement, life insurance, those things that might, again, keep you at a job that you've outgrown and or it's toxic. So I want to turn over to you now, Libri. I just want to respond to that
Awesome.
first.
So, Dantes, great question, and I don't have enough information to tell you what your specific strategy should be. But here's what I will tell you. I think a lot of people feel stuck in situations because they are afraid or not ready to make the decision, right? It's I don't want to let go of these things. I don't want to give up this thing. Or
Mm-hmm.
here's what I want to remind you.
Mm-hmm.
In either case, you are not stuck. You are making a decision.
Yes.
And it is okay to decide that based on my goals and my current situation, I'm going to stay a little bit longer. It's okay to decide that. That is
Mm-hmm.
completely up to you.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, what you've got to do is understand what you're trying to get to, where
Mm-hmm.
you are,
Mm-hmm.
and if you leave, what do you have to do to get there, right? What are you giving up? And then
Mm-hmm.
you have to decide whether or not it's worth it to stay. And there have been times where I've done that, right? Where I'm ready to leave. Like I've outgrown the job. It's time for me to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I realize that I have not reached my financial goals yet. And so I'm like, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I'm cool to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never felt stuck in a job, ever. Not once in my life have I ever felt stuck in a job. If I am showing up to work and logging in, it's because I chose to. I made that
I
choice.
love that. I love that mind frame. So, what do you think is the difference between you and many, many, many Black women who feel stuck in a job? Because it's the mindset, right?
Yeah,
And that's part of what
that's
we're going
what
to
it
talk about in
is.
the summit is that sometimes we're our own biggest barrier, right?
Yeah.
And so, confronting your fear. So, can you share with the audience that perspective of not feeling stuck? How were you able to have that perspective?
Well, I actually had this conversation with a friend recently because she's in the same situation where she's not really happy with her job, but she's scared to leave.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't feel appreciated. And I was like, friend, you have to decide if you're staying or going. And you need to accept that that's your decision, right?
Yes,
I
yes.
think for me, I feel confident in my ability to make money. Like I don't feel like I need any job. I have never felt like I needed any job. And so the challenge for a lot of folks is they are afraid that they need their job.
Mm.
I have so much faith in my ability to make money in other ways that if I decided to leave tomorrow, I think I'd be all right. Right? I think I would be
Good
fine.
point. Good
I
point.
think I would figure it out. And if it got bad enough, in my worst case scenario is I got to go back and work my very first job at McDonald's.
Mm.
Listen, if I get unhappy enough, I might just do that. Like, I might be all right with doing that. But
Uh-huh.
I'm very comfortable with the fact that I've amassed an amount of skills over the years that
Mhm.
I could pretty much always find a way to make money. Now, does that mean I'm going to make the same amount of money? Maybe not. Who knows?
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Because my worst case scenario is that I don't make the money that I make today.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I think there you have to figure out where is the point where those two lines cross that you're
Yeah.
comfortable with,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? How much money versus how much freedom, or how much money versus whatever your other goal is.
Mhm.
Where is that cross section where I'm still okay? Because
Mhm.
I don't necessarily need all the things that I have today.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? And some people do. Some people still need the nice car and the nice house. Heck, I just told my friends I want to sell my house and downgrade to one of my mom's cars that doesn't cost anything because I don't care about cars. Like, and I don't
Right.
go very many places.
Mhm.
But I think the difference is that I have every bit of faith that no matter what happens, I can take care of myself.
Wow.
Every
Wow.
bit of
That's
faith.
powerful.
Here's why though, and I think people miss this about themselves.
Mhm.
You have proof. However old you are, however
You have
long you've been
data. That's
told,
your data.
you have data that backs
Yes.
that up. I have
Yes.
so much data that I've been through all kinds of crazy stuff and made it out okay. I'm
Mhm.
all right.
Mhm.
And so I have every bit of faith that I will be all right, even if things get
Yes.
hard, even if I got to go back to this McDonald's in Tallahassee on North Monroe that I worked at in 1997. I know that even that would be a temporary situation, and
Yeah.
I would be all right eventually,
Yes.
right? I have
Yes.
so much faith in that.
Yes.
And I think that's the difference between me and my friend that I was on the phone with. Like, I just have so much faith that I'm gonna be fine. And
Mm.
so I'm okay with choosing to continue to maybe if I'm working in a job that I feel like I've outgrown, or I'm ready to do
Mhm.
something different. But
Mhm.
what's more important to me right now is my financial goals. I'm
Mm.
okay with choosing that.
Mhm.
And that makes me not feel stuck. I
Yeah.
don't feel stuck at all because I know every day I show up, it's my choice.
Oh, I love that. I love that, right? So reminding yourself of choice, reminding yourself, look at the data that you can find other ways to make money, not just that job. And then I also wanted to add, we have to be very mindful of the cost of staying at a job. So we're talking about, think about, with your financial goals, all that kind of stuff, but think about the cost as well. So if you are in a job and you are becoming physically ill,
Yeah.
if you are experiencing a level of psychological distress where you might say, I'm about to have a nervous breakdown, or I'm
Yeah.
having thoughts of
That's not worth
hurting
it.
myself, or like things like that, like those things takes precedent, right? So you
Yeah.
have to really think about your self-preservation and do what you need to do to make sure that you're healthy. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm saying this too because I've heard a lot of Black women say to me, and they are like hanging on by a string. Like they are
Mm-mm.
barely making it every day. Like they're crying on their way to work, crying leaving work. They can't do anything all weekend because they're exhausted from masking at the job all week, right? And so to those Black women, I say, look at the cost
You look at the
and
cost. Yeah.
start thinking about, I know I want my benefits, but what are your options? Have you talked to the retirement people? Have you seen how much you can get at this point? What are some ways you can
Yep.
supplement your income? Like start thinking about an exit plan, but start planning so you're not like constantly going through this harm,
Yeah.
to yourself. Yeah.
Because these are days of your life that you will not get back. You will
No.
never get them back. And so every day, if you're okay with trading days of your life for unhappiness,
Oh.
like, baby, no. So again, I love your point about saying, asking how much retirement would I give up? It's
Hmm.
really about having the information and
Yes.
not just being a victim of you're not a victim. You are never
Mm-hmm.
a victim of
Mm-hmm.
your circumstances here.
Mm-hmm.
At any time, and this is always your decision, you just need to get the information. And
Mm-hmm.
so if it's that I have a pension, well, how much am I vested? How much of that would I be walking away from? Because
Mm-hmm.
then you get to make the choice. Yeah, this is worth walking away. I
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's cool. Or, if it's benefits, there are other options. There's an
True.
open healthcare market where you can buy healthcare benefits. If you
Yes.
leave the country and move to Thailand, healthcare barely costs anything. I mean, you always have options. And so it's so
Yeah.
important to do that assessment and make sure you have all of the information so that you don't feel like you're a victim of your circumstances.
Yes.
What
Yes.
if I did leave? Like I would actually give everybody the homework that by the end of, by the time they show up at the virtual job summit,
Mm-hmm.
have already put down your plan. Like, what would my exit strategy be? Like,
Mm.
over the next couple of weeks, over the next several weeks,
Mm-hmm.
understand, what do your benefits look like? Just
Yes.
go and look at the healthcare marketplace and see how much benefits cost.
Mm-hmm.
What would I need to make to take care of myself?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so there's just so much power in knowledge.
Yes.
And that's probably
Yes.
where most of my confidence comes from, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know
Mm-hmm.
exactly how much money I have and how long I know how much my life costs. Like, if I cut
Mm.
out all the fat,
Mm-hmm.
I know how much on the base value, like at the very basic, how much my life costs. And
Mm.
based on that, how much money I have and how long I could live and take care of myself
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
off that, right?
Yeah.
And this is not me making another dime. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have that information. And so that confidence comes from having that information. And
Yeah.
then the other piece is, sometimes you guys might want to consider even if you just took a break, even if you asked for a sabbatical.
Mm-hmm.
One of my best friends quit her job. She was really unhappy.
Mm.
And exactly like you said, like, it was affecting her physically. She was
Mm-hmm.
crying. She was
Mm.
trading days of her life sitting in her car crying.
Oh. Ooh.
Those are days
Trading
she
days of
cannot
your
get back.
life. Yes.
She
Mm-hmm.
cannot get those days back. And they were
Mm-hmm.
spent crying in her car.
Wow.
And so she finally just quit. And she literally just took like a month and a half and lived on savings for a month and a half. And
Hmm.
that was the refresh she needed.
Mm-hmm. The
Get back in the
rest.
job market. So sometimes, maybe if your job offers this leave of absence or a
Mm-hmm.
sabbatical,
Absolutely.
if you are going through mental health issues, if it's
Mm-hmm.
affecting you physically, if it's affecting your actual health,
Mm-hmm.
you can go talk to doctors and get a leave of absence.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so I mean, it's just honestly, it's just not worth it.
It's not
So
worth
then
it.
you have to start asking yourself, is this house worth it? Is this car worth it? Are these trips worth it? Like, because there are other options.
Yeah.
You just got to figure out, what are you willing to sacrifice, lean on, and push for.
Yes, yes. And I just want to highlight, the importance of exploring if you can take a leave of absence. I took a leave of absence and it was crucial for me because I couldn't take it anymore, right? I just couldn't take it. And while I was on a leave of absence, not only therapy, but I started exit planning because I knew I wasn't going back. So your leave of absence can help you. It can
Yeah.
help you get a little reprieve from the beat down and you can start preparing yourself. And so I want Black women to hear what we're saying about options, but also preparing yourself and approaching those things that you're fearful of. So if you're fearful of how much money do I need or what's going to happen to my benefits, you need to approach that. You can't avoid it and make up stories about what you think it's going to be, because that will keep you in a situation that is not healthy for you longer. Okay. So get your ticket. So before we wind down, I am going to read the chat. So just to give honor to our community, I love this conversation. And I see a man has joined us and he said, hope y'all don't mind me listening in. Absolutely not. Join in. Okay. This information is for all of us. Okay. We all want to get liberated. So don't feel that way. I like this discussion and rethinking fear and discomfort. Lord knows I need to hear this right now. Good. I'm so glad you're here. Hi, Dr. K and Libria et al. Hello, everyone. Let's see. While y'all on my street, let me see. We talked about that. Being too old to compete is my fear. Interesting. Failures to prepare earlier in life. So I'm still working in a toxic job. Can you speak to that? Being too old to compete. She's fearful that she's too old to compete.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme. So I don't have a whole lot of um, experience dealing with ageism or speaking on ageism. I will tell you, Power to Fly, which is a Online is an online company that is their mission is to put more diversity into organizations. That's their whole mission, and they
Mhm.
do a lot of free events. They have, I think, almost a monthly event about combating ageism
Ah,
in job searches. I think they actually have one coming up soon. I saw it this morning on their
okay.
website. Let me see if I can like peep this
Okay.
type
Well,
quietly
you
so
know,
I can look it
I'll
up.
put their information in the description section. No
Okay,
worries,
good, good,
Olivia. I'll put that
good.
information in
But
there.
if you
Yeah.
go to their site and go to events, I think
Power to
they
fly.
actually have an event coming up, one of their talks coming up about ageism. They do it, I think, at least once a month. The
Awesome.
person that always, oh, it's a chat and learn on May 2nd.
Good. So please
Overcoming
check
bias in
that out.
today's workforce. And it's
Good.
a woman by the name of Helen Sanchez. She speaks about it on a regular basis on that show.
Oh, good.
Mhm.
Okay. That's why it's so good to present a question, ask someone because you can get resources,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah. And I'm the
Um,
person that'll tell you, if I'm not the expert, I'm not gonna pretend like I am, but I usually know somebody that knows what they're talking about.
yes, yes, yes. Love how Libria describes a different way to look at fear. Yes, right. I refuse to go back to college. False. Okay, so fear, false evidence appearing real. You have not been given the spirit of fear, but you can draw it to you. Start being a fear repellent. Ooh, a fear repellent. Okay.
I take issue with that, but I know a lot of the messages that we've gotten and shared over the years is really about pushing fear away.
Uh-huh.
And again, like I said, I'm on a personal mission to rebrand fear. I think fear has just been given a bad name because we don't
Yeah.
like discomfort. And fear is
Yeah.
like, I've been saving y'all's lives. What you talking about?
Why are you talking about me like this? Right? I'm helping
Yeah,
you
and I think
out.
it's just
Yes.
really how we react to fear and how we ignore the information that fear is trying to tell us. Like I think
Yeah.
it's really about, well, what is it I'm afraid of? Like
Yeah.
help me work this out, fear. Me and
That's
fear be having
important.
planning sessions, okay?
That's important. And I just want to share with the audience the fear that I had of leaving a toxic job was so like I was so stuck. Like I wanted to go, so scared about the finances. But I knew I said, okay, if my fear is about finances, I have to confront the finances. So you again, what Libria is saying, identify what is the fear, and then how do you address the fear, walk through the fear, get the resources to address the fear, just like what I did. So if any of these fears you can relate to the finances, any of the mindset stuff, you need to be in the summit. Okay. So early registration is going on now until April 20th. Okay. And I'm telling you this because I was there and I know what it feels like.
Mhm.
It just feels really horrible. Okay. I don't want you to feel that way, but I'm sharing these resources with you. Okay, let's see. The advice is very reassuring. Now, even though you're not able to attend the summit, I see a man is here, right? But you can get the recording later. Okay. So if you want to come later and access the information, this is a space for Black women. I do want to say for the Black women attending that, Marissa Price and I were co-hosting this, that we really value your privacy because we know as Black women, we got to watch our back all the time. Unfortunately, it's true. And so the summit, no one will see your face on camera. Okay, none of the participants will be seen on camera. Your names will not be listed. So your privacy is really valued. So don't think that I can't come to the summit because somebody's going to find out I'm trying to leave. Okay, so we've addressed that. I'm listening and I need off this matrix. If Libria is working at McDonald's, I'm going to start eating there because it's going to be fun. Oh my God.
I
I'm
did have a
so
lot of fun at that McDonald's, man. We had a good time.
I'm so worn out because I feel if I stop, I won't be able to pay my bills, even though I'm still not making the money I need to pay my bills. So I think we spoke to that, right? So the exhaustion comes from trying to get yourself up and you go to a job that's either harming you or you've outgrown it, right?
Yeah.
So if you've recognized this is not the place for me, what we're sharing with you is that you have options. And even though you're tired or you feel these ways, find some time to start looking for other jobs, but also coming to the Job Liberation Virtual Summit might help you prepare yourself to start looking for other jobs and looking at what other jobs do I want to go into so you don't end up in another toxic job or another job that doesn't fit you. Okay.
Yeah.
But just be open to that. I love that you're saying that it's a choice of staying and evaluating. So much inspiration here. Thank you, ladies. You're welcome. When your job feels like a plantation, it's time to leave. So true. Right now, there's so much scams out here. Who knows how much people want off this matrix? So they're zero in on people who want that freedom, and it's making money off people lying about working from home. Okay, so this is not a scam. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're here to share information with you that's all legit. Okay, nobody's trying to scam you. This is a summit with Black women sharing information with other Black women about preparing yourself, getting a plan. Like Libria said, she's going to be talking to you about remote work. This is not a scam. Okay, she has coached Black women about this. Okay, so just know that.
I'd be interested to know like what that statement meant, because I don't know I don't know if that was asking if this is scammy or talking about how a lot of people out here, because she could have been talking about how a lot of companies are making people go back to the office because they don't think people are really working from home. I'm not sure, so I just don't want to assume anything. But yeah, if you could,
if you
clarify
can clarify, that would be great.
Yeah,
that would be
that'd be
great. That would be
But
great.
I will tell you, I've been working from home off and on since 2008.
Wow.
And I've been doing this for a long time, and I've been teaching people how to
awesome.
do it since 2015. So
Wow.
since way before the pandemic. I mean, you can see I'm in a home right now, so it's definitely not scamming. And here's my work computer right here. But yeah, no, I've actually been able to help quite a few people work remotely. It's not something I say that is a guarantee. I can't guarantee anything. The only thing that I can guarantee is if you don't do anything, nothing will change. That's the only guarantee I have for you. But my goal is typically to open people's eyes to things that they didn't know were possible, help make the search and the process a bit easier, and provide some empathy and sympathy in throughout the process. Because looking for a job is not an enjoyable process.
Right.
It's frustrating, it's demoralizing. And even trying to figure out some of the things that you all are trying to figure out right now, having to decide between, leaving a job that you might love what you're doing, and you might enjoy your coworkers. You might be very attached to the fact that you work for a great company, but you don't work for good people, and having to make the decision to leave that. I mean, we can easily say, yeah, it's a toxic job, you should leave. That might not be an easy decision. And so I think that it's important for us to always present that empathetic and sympathetic side that, none of this is easy. None of it. Right. And even if you're trying to decide between leaving and what parts of your life you will sacrifice for that. Right. Someone mentioned expenses. Well, you might have to make some hard decisions about what expenses you remove from your life.
True.
Maybe we're not getting our hair done anymore. Maybe we're not doing them lashes no more.
Right.
Maybe I got to stop getting my nails done. Maybe I'm downgrading my car. And so a lot of these are not easy decisions. And so it is easy to say, well, you need to go make this decision if this is what you want. It's easy to say that. But I think we all recognize, myself and Dr. Kamani and Marissa, and people in this community recognize that these are not easy decisions, and we don't take that lightly.
Not at all. Not at all. And I so appreciate you saying that, because, you might be in a situation where, like you said, you love the work, you love the whatever, but there's the situation that's just not working for you. And, there's so much that's involved with leaving a job. And so I hope that people know that we're not discounting that it's a process, right?
Yeah.
And even, I talk about this a lot on my other videos, but Marissa and I are going to be doing a group coaching program for Black women leaving toxic jobs that we're giving you a sneak peek. I probably shouldn't have said that. But anyway, we're going to launch that at the end of the summit. But part of what we're going to be talking about in the group coaching program is the grief process of leaving a job. There is so much emotion that we have attached to our job, and the loss and the dreams and so many different things. So if you want to be in the group coaching program, that will be coming up soon as well. So yes, it is difficult, but you are able to work through it, right?
Yeah.
As long as
I went through that. I left my company in 2015 so that I could travel the world for a year. I was leaving to do something amazing. I really loved my job also.
Yeah.
It was my first run working in tech. It was the first time I was making over $100,000. I had a team. I was well respected, but they
Mm,
weren't willing to let me work I wanted to work in Europe. We had a Europe branch,
mm,
and they
mhm.
weren't willing to let me do that. And so I had to leave because my goal was to live abroad.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, we don't cannot discount the fact that regardless of the situation, I mean, the decision that you're making,
mhm.
there can be some grief that comes with it, even if you're leaving
Absolutely.
a toxic job. I mean, women who leave abusive situations also miss the nice version of that guy,
Right,
right?
right, right.
So, there's so much nuance. And I
Yes.
love that, Dr. Kamani, you're taking great care and intention with addressing all sides of it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I'm so glad this actually came up because sometimes you might feel, why would I feel grief about leaving a toxic job? Like what? Like I should just be happy. But again, the dreams you had, maybe the coworkers you were cool with, there's a lot
The
of things that you
routine.
had connected to the job, right? And so you need to be able to grieve that and move through that. And don't beat yourself up about having the grief feelings, okay? You're
Yeah.
human. You have connections, right? I'm glad that you're really thinking about strategy completely instead of just on impulse, because looking on these YouTube videos will give you quitting and moving to another country. No. So we're talking about preparing yourself, getting a plan. Oh, my friend Colette Elizabeth is here. If you need to take a leave of absence and you're in California, worker, please do not forget that you may be eligible for FMLA, CFRA job protection, and or short-term disability, partial wage replacement. Check with HR folks. Thank you, Colette. I've just started my job 2 months in. I enjoy it. Don't really totally care for the female boss. Not to mention, I'm the only Black female on the team. It seems like they give less work than others. As I don't know if that finished up. So hopefully it finishes up later. Okay. No, I'm not. Okay. This is the person who's providing clarity. Okay. No, I'm not calling you guys scammers. I've seen so many of it. Yes, sis. I wasn't talking about you guys. I love this information you guys are putting out. Thank you. Thank you for the clarity. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So the other woman was saying that she's given less work, and I guess she's being treated as if she's incompetent or incapable. So when situations like that happen, I just invite you to start collecting data about the environment you're in and start saying, you know what, this is happening. This is how this sits with me. And if this is not what I want for myself, start exploring the options that you have options. You don't have to just say, oh, I'm out right now, but just start saying, okay, this is my plan to start preparing myself to get out if the situation that you're in right now is not sitting well with you. Okay. Being in Libria's community, she gives a lot of information about finding remote positions. And we're going to talk about Libria's community too. I've gone through the Get Your Money Right session. I've learned so much about money, my benefits, savings, high yield accounts, etc. And I can see that my freedom is soon to come. Yeah, so she must have come to the financial masterclass. So that information, a lot of that information will be in the Job Virtual Summit. So please check it out. I just noticed that her response to me is different from the other non-Black staff. So that's the woman who's talking about not having a positive experience at her job. Yes, my job is toxic, but I'm spoiled here at the same time. Can you speak to that? Libria, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, she was responding to the fact that we were saying like there's nuance in all of these situations, right?
Okay.
Where, maybe your job is toxic, but there's some good stuff about it that
Some
you
perks.
love, right? You have you've had friendships through your life that are toxic, friends that just don't do you
Ooh,
right. But when you
ooh.
but when you hang out with them, like you just have such a good time. You like, man, I want to leave her. I want to block her, but we just have such a great time. And
She's so
so
funny. Yeah,
she's just speaking to the fact that there's nuance involved, and so it might not
yeah.
just be a one or a zero, right? Like true or
Mm-hmm.
false, leave
Mm-hmm.
or go. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
leave or stay. And so I think this person is just speaking to the fact that even if she did leave, like there would be some angst with that
Mm-hmm.
decision or some
Some
grief with that
loss.
decision
Yeah.
because she's spoiled. There was a time a few years ago where I was thinking about leaving my job. It wasn't that it was toxic; it was just
Mm-hmm.
boring, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a project manager role, had been in that role for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
One client had hired one client had asked for my time 100%, and I was only on like 2-3 meetings a week. And so I just felt like I wasn't being utilized, and I was just bored, just ready to go. And similar thing. I was like, but go where? Like, I got it made over here. Like, I'm not doing much for the most part. I work whenever this client wants me to work, and they seem to love me. And I get to try. My job lets me travel, lets me go wherever I want, and I'm well respected. And I have good brand equity here. And if I need to text the CEO to ask a question, I can do that. So there are situations where you're like, here's the bad, but like, here's the good.
Yeah.
I think that's what she's speaking to now. But when you use words like toxic, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, my situation was toxic. I was just bored.
That's a good point to bring up, right?
And so when I think toxic, to me, I think abusive.
Yes.
Right.
Poisonous. It's poisonous. That poison gets to your body some kind of way.
And so when I hear somebody say, my job is toxic, but I'm spoiled, it almost sounds like, my boyfriend beats me, but he buys me gifts.
Right.
And that's how I feel. And so I don't know if you're using the word toxic loosely, but toxic is problematic,
it's
right?
Not good. Yeah.
And so to anybody that feels like, well, my job is toxic, but I'm spoiled, if you're saying that to yourself, I really suggest that you think through what you mean by both of those things. What do you mean by toxic and what do you mean by spoiled?
True.
And if you're using the word toxic loosely, that's a different situation, right? But is it really toxic? And so back to what Dr. Kamani said earlier, if we're talking about toxic, we're talking about it being mentally and physically abusive to you, to your mental health, to your well-being. Apologies, my dad just decided to show up at my house, and he's ringing my doorbell.
It's all good. It's all good. So did you want to get that while I read the chat, or? Okay. So just in terms of what Liberia was saying, that we have to look at the costs and benefits of being in a situation. And when you're in a toxic job, the toxicity around you, because it's usually the system is toxic, it's going to influence you in some ways, physically, psychologically. You might think, oh, I got this. At least I know what's going on. It's going to harm you. So if you're not using it loosely and it really is toxic, I really invite you to look at the costs and benefits of being in that environment. Okay. Now, it might have good benefits. It might have good salary, but at what cost? Okay. So as Libria said, what did she say? Days of our lives, or what did you say again?
I said we are trading days of our lives.
Yes, you don't want to trade days of your lives. Okay.
It's like, when you buy something, right, you're trading money for a good or a service. And a lot of times we're comfortable with it because we know that money is a renewable resource. Your time is not.
No, it's not.
It's just not. You are never going to get April 10th at 2:19 p.m. April 10th, 2024, 2:19 p.m. back. You are not going to get that minute back. No. It's not coming back to you ever. Right. And we don't think enough about the fact that it's not renewable resource.
Yeah.
And so we find ourselves in these ruts and these routines and these situations that we've lulled ourselves into a sense of comfort because we know it. Right. It's like, I, for a few months, like maybe 6 months, 1 year, I was waking up with my stomach hurting every morning.
Oh.
And at some point, it became normal. I was just used to it. And then I ended up meeting with someone, a nutritionist, and talking about, I did Whole30 and realized that I can't eat grains, like I can't eat rice more than like 2 times a week and stuff like that. And then I stopped waking up with my stomach hurting. I was like, holy wow. Like, my stomach's not supposed to hurt when I wake up.
Right. Yes. Yes.
But it had happened for so long that it had just become my normal.
Yes.
And so a lot of people are in these horrible jobs and they're not telling themselves it's horrible because they're just so used to it. Like, this is normal for you now.
And they don't think that there's a solution to their problem.
Yeah.
And so what we're saying is there are solutions, but you have to explore what those solutions might be. And maybe coming to the summit might help you find those solutions. So you're not waking up in dread like I used to wake up, or crying, or whatever that might be, just to know that you have options, right?
Absolutely.
Good day from Jamaica. Hello. Thank you for tuning in from Jamaica. This live answer to my prayer. That group coaching program is a wonderful idea, a great compliment to the summit too. Thank you. My challenge is remote work-life balance. I'm from DC and I cringe at the thought of ever working in those snake pit offices again. Since I moved, my health has improved. No more bronchial attacks. Oh my God. The stress is no joke. That
Yeah.
sounds like a dream job. It's how much your dad coming in. Toxic is unhealthy, an environment that doesn't serve your mind, body, or spirit. Let's see. Oh, okay. You're just sharing about your dad. Okay.
Yeah, I just renovated an Airbnb and he wanted to come see it.
Oh, awesome. I love it. I love it. Non-renewable resource, but also it's an investment in your future, right? Like was it a poor investment that left you with lasting trauma or pains? Or was it an investment that gives you happiness, dividends whenever memories pop up? Yes. And I want to say, when you think about ways to support your healing, like the summit, that's an investment. Therapy is an investment. Coaching is an investment. These
Mhm.
are things that you do for yourself to improve the quality of your life. It's not like an expense, like you get your hair done, you get your eyelashes done, like those things are done, right? The bills. These are investments. So we just want you to invest in yourself. Toxic is filing an EEOC complaint due to narcissistic Machiavellian boss and having a coworker ask if I want to buy the boss a birthday gift. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy. So as we're winding down, everyone, I want everyone to hear about services that Libria offers, about her community, and how you can connect to her. So, Libria, if you can share that information.
Yeah. So I actually have a course that teaches people how to find and land remote work. It's called the Remote Ready Bundle. The website is quitcommuting.com. Quit as in stop, not as in fast. We're not saying commute faster. We're saying stop that. Quitcommuting.com. So we have a course called the Remote Ready Bundle that guides people through 4 phases of finding and landing remote work. We also have a academy, and the Remote Ready Bundle comes with 30 days of free access to that academy. But in the academy, we do coaching every week. So I do a live session on Saturdays with folks to help unlock them in their quest for remote work. We also have a resume writer who reviews resumes every 2 weeks, a LinkedIn expert who will review your LinkedIn once a month. And every quarter, we have a psychologist that does cubicle therapy sessions. So
Awesome.
people that are stressed out, hate commuting, hate having to be in an office, and hate having to deal with people stealing their lunch, or
Ooh,
Barbara accounting always interrupting you about silly stuff. You can come in and vent to our resident psychiatrist as well. So we've got that. There's and you get access to all of our previous workshops as well. And then we have a free Facebook community as well. It's important to me that people get resources and information for free. Very important to me. I've shared a lot of free stuff on Instagram, on YouTube, and in our Facebook group. But if you want more guidance and more structure, that's what the course and the academy are for.
yes. So I'll put all of Libria's information description section. Just give me a little bit so I can add that information in. And if you want more of Libria, you heard her, you're like, oh, she's speaking to my soul, then register for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black Women, May 18th and 19th. Early registration is happening right now until April 20th. And remember, no one will know you're there. Your camera, you won't be seen on screen. Your name won't be listed. If you want to make a question or anything like that, you can change your name in the platform, okay? So check it out. If you have not already subscribed to my channel and Libria's channel, please do so. Also give this video a thumbs up and please share this video with at least 2 other Black women, okay? So liberate yourself, but look out for our sisters too. So share this video with at least 2 other Black women, and I hope that you attend the summit. So we'll see you later. Libria, did you have any last words you want to share with people before we sign off for today?
Yeah, real quick. Someone asked, how much does that all cost? So the Remote Ready Bundle is $149. You can purchase it in installments. So we use Afterpay and Klarna. And if you don't want the full bundle, there are like smaller courses that are $29, $49. And the Academy is $29.99 a month. And we don't make you stay there. You can cancel that at any time. You can cancel, rejoin, whatever you want to do. And then the community is absolutely free. So there's a range of prices from $29 to $149, whatever you need. You
I
got
love
it.
it. I love it. Okay. So again, all of Libria's information will be there. And then again, check her out at the summit. Okay. So Libra, if you can stay on, everyone else, see you later. Bye.
Hi, y'all. This is so fun.